Another complaint Doodle and SkiHound brought up is that apparently I think it's impossible to have fun poking at serious issues.
Ark, do you by any chance fall under any autistic spectrum? Because legit, with the right mindset and the right social cues, you can have fun with just about any kind of topic out there.
Again, that's not true at all. I used to watch a lot of South Park back in the day, and I think its satire on real-world issues is very clever and to the point. I've also been a huge fan of The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad. You know, those shows that satirize everyday American life and poke fun at real-world issues. I've also watched plenty of Penn and Teller bullshit back in the day, and I recently got into the Ali G show, so I'm quite familiar with the concept of social satire. But here's the thing. Most people I've seen discussing gender issues on YouTube just seem very bitter about it. Granted, I can't blame them considering the state of modern feminism, but they just don't seem to have any sort of fun with it. I mean, look at Lindybeige for instance. In his original actress rant, you could tell he was just really angry throughout the whole thing. Like, you could hear it in his voice, and he was stammering at times, and it was just very worked up. There wasn't any sense of joy throughout the video, there was no humour, no comedy or anything.
Does anyone think that women are not good at acting or are less good at acting than men? Referred to her as an actress, I can't believe anyone would think that either, oh, she must be rubbish at acting then if she doesn't manage to make the rank of actor. But for goodness sake, today, it's 2015, nearly 2016. Does anyone genuinely believe that...
That wasn't kindness, it was cunning. She's a gypsy. Gypsies are not capable of real love.
Right, he sounds so happy right now. He's just so bubbly and optimistic about how he doesn't like women being called actors.
Really, nigga?
He didn't crack a smile once, as I recall. You know, he wasn't laughing at feminists and SJWs, he wasn't lampooning them, he wasn't making a satire, he was just making an angry and bitter rant throughout the whole thing. Compare that to his video on, say, migration, where he was much more calm and subdued, and he even threw a bit of humour into the video by doing this talking heads thing with his hands, satirising how the left and the right just tend to strawman each other.
Generally speaking, the debate goes something like this. Those people are evil, 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 you hear? Oh yes, they want no immigrants to come into this country and unsustainable. They are all idiots, even though they're obviously not. And they would let everybody in. Yes, they think that we should do, completely open borders. Is that sensible? No, I think it is not.
But no, you don't get any of that in his actress rant. You don't see him parody the PC police or anything. It's like, ugh, I'm so sick of everyone calling women actors, and that makes me so angry. Seriously, I find it funny how I'm the one getting criticized for taking gender issues seriously and not having fun with it, and yet the same criticism could be applied to Lindy's video. And then there's people like Thunderfoot and Teal Deer who come across as very deadpan in their videos, and I get that that's their shtick, but they're not even trying to be funny so much as just dead serious the whole way through.
You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel for issues to address, aren't you? And it's obvious that these issues in particular are side effects of helping women. You're not going to address the legal rights which women are afforded under the law over men, are you? Why do some men's feelings, not all men, but some men's feelings, take precedent over these inequalities in the law, feminists? Exactly.
Wait, nothing was funny!
I would argue, however, that Doodle and Ski have a point with The Amazing Atheist, because he at least conveys his views and opinions in a comedic, over-the-top manner, sorta like the Nostalgia Critic if he were more cynical and critiqued society instead of movies.
Hey humans, how you doing? I'm real! Woo, look at me! Yeah, just came down to let you know, in that book, the Bible, that's all accurate. See you later. Woo!
However, even he tends to get genuinely worked up over these gender issues because, hey, they really do get that infuriating.
Feminists do not want you to lose custody of your children. The assumption that women are naturally better caregivers is part of patriarchy.
Oh, I I like her. Isn't she pleasant? She seems like the kind of girl that, she'd go to a restaurant and order her sandwich with extra mustard, and then they'd bring it to her, and she'd take a bite, and she'd throw it across the room and be like, I told you no mustard on this!
So yeah, a lot of guys on YouTube take feminism seriously, so why am I getting singled out for it?
How can you look at the men at the top and ignore all of the tens of thousands more men down below them? How do you manage it? Now, I wouldn't blame the glass cellar on feminism in particular.
Do you by any chance fall under any autistic spectrum?
So, now that that's out of the way, let's move on to my next point. I have no idea how to do scripting or retakes. Again, this is incorrect, since I actually read up on how to write a screenplay back in early 2012, when I wrote a South Park fanfiction that didn't really go anywhere. I also started an original screenplay in 2013 about one of the characters I created for the South Park fanfiction, who I thought was interesting enough to get her own story. Adele walks into the room and converses the following with her mother. Oh, and just to remind you, I'm not doing any voices, especially for these two characters, because, they're women. I've even scripted some of the videos on this channel. In fact, you're actually listening to a scripted video right now. Some other examples of videos I've scripted are my first two channel updates, where I didn't show myself on screen, and instead voiced it over whilst showing a bunch of images to illustrate my points. And I'd also like to point out that on this channel, Anti-SJW Creations, the second part of my audio commentary is coming soon. A lot of you may have been wondering, what is that? However, most of my videos are unscripted because most of the time I want to sound natural for the particular topic at hand. Unfortunately, as we all know, it backfired in my Lindybeige commentary since I dragged out my points for way too long.
All aboard! Let's go!
And as for not doing retakes, well, there were several times I stuffed up, especially with it being unscripted, so of course I had to do retakes. As for this part right here, they're not saying that being female is somehow inferior. That wasn't me stuffing up my lines, that was me stopping in frustration, and I kept it in just to emphasize that fact. I'm surprised no one got that. However, I will script all commentaries in the future, and I've actually completed the script for my next commentary, which I'll get to at the end. And this brings me to my next point, Doodle and SkiHound's commentary. Now, don't get me wrong, I thought their commentary was brilliant, and they brought up plenty of decent points. However, there were points in the video where they came across as incredibly condescending, and treated me as an idiot who knows nothing about the topics he's getting into. Oh, you know nothing about languages, you don't know how to script videos.
Oh right, I forgot about the hypothetical gender dystopia where every suffix is made in 5 seconds by some random fuck on the internet who knows nothing about language.
Well, I do, it's just that the rules of other languages aren't relevant to English, so I didn't feel the need to bring them up. And there are several videos on my channel that prove this, that I do have an understanding of how foreign languages work. A little research could have saved you the trouble. I mean, considering that Doodle obviously would have had to have clicked onto my channel in order to find out that there's a lot of clarinet videos.
I mean, sure, I know what you're talking about, but your audience may not, especially considering very few of your videos talk about what this is actually covering, and are instead videos with you, surprise surprise, playing the clarinet.
As well as other instruments like sax and piano and a whole heap of musical arrangements. I don't know, surely you would have come across at least one video where I'm speaking some foreign language or there's subtitles in this foreign language or whatever. Just saying.
What'll it be, folks?
We'll have a slight touch of monetary complications with bucolic semilunar contraptions of the flying trapezes.
You got it. I'll be right back with that.
Dolphy, Dolphy, Dolphy. Sie kapieren nicht, es wahr? Das Mädchen meint viel zu mir. Sie ist wie eine Tochter zu mir. Let's see now. International Phonetic Alphabet. Voiceless postalveolar fricative, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, locative, instrumental, vocative, Indo-European. You know, I just pulled those terms off the top of my head. You see, I do know about this stuff. And normally I wouldn't brag about this stuff online, but here I feel like it's actually relevant to what I'm talking about. I mean, they were basically talking down to me and insulting my intelligence, and that's where I have a problem with the video. Most of the points they made were well thought out, and I'll try to correct my mistakes in the future, but just so you guys know, I'm actually better versed than you might think.
Stop insulting our intelligence with this crap. We know!
Yeah, look who's talking.
I guess you'll have to abolish tons of other languages that always use the masculine term as default whenever referring to a plural group with at least one male.
You're telling me not to insult people's intelligence and tell them stuff they already know? Yet here you are telling the most basic linguistic information to a guy who teaches himself linguistics. Really think about that. That's like telling a physicist what Newton's laws of physics are, or a woodcarver how woodcarving works. And seeing how I'm a musician, would you care to explain to me what crotchets, minims, and rests are? Because it'd be great if you did that, thanks.
Then, after that, you can come to my home and tell me how to brush my tooth!
Also, I'd like to address this part right here. And you want to know why they don't think they're lesser beings? Because to them, being female is completely 100% normal, and boys are sort of the other different sex.
That's because males and females are generally different despite what Tumblr might have told you. It's not just a weird spectrum of genders, there's only two. Yeah, they're equal, but they're also different, and we should recognize that.
Even identifying as a gender is not identifying as either.
And you missed my point entirely. I was just reiterating my point from earlier where I was saying how men are treated as the default sex and women are treated as the special other sex. It had nothing to do with all these weird made up genders or the gender spectrum that the Tumblrites go on and on about. And considering I repeated myself practically word for word from the first time I said it, but if you're a woman, well, shouldn't being female be completely 100% normal while men are the other sex? Because to them, being female is completely 100% normal, and boys are sort of the other different sex. Surely that would have sparked just a little bit of deja vu, right? Right? P.S. I didn't coin the term second sex. The term actually comes from the title of a book by Simone de Beauvoir, which is about how women were treated throughout history. Yeah, I bring this up because apparently Doodle thought it was just my poor wording.
Consider this a nitpick of your wonky wording, but second sex? I mean, there is only two sexes, or three if you count hermaphrodites, so I mean, could one consider women the second sex? Now, I'm aware of what you're trying to get at, but could you not have worded it better than that?
But no, the term was actually coined by Simone de Beauvoir. Which brings me to my next point. The part where I said that being a woman is treated as special, whether for better or worse. Naturally, this did confuse a lot of people, since, hey, women are getting special treatment, that's good for them, right? Well, not really. Let me put it this way. You know when people value you greatly, and they expect a lot of great things out of you, and you just can't handle the pressure of being special, and you just want to be like everyone else? Yeah, that's how I'm pretty sure it is for women. Society basically puts them on a pedestal and expects them to be good at everything. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but honestly, it just makes me feel kind of sorry for them, knowing they're subject to this kind of pressure. Like, women should just be allowed to be themselves and do what they enjoy doing, without feeling pressure to cave into societal expectations. I bring this up because I've actually had similar experiences myself. Not because of my gender, mind you, but because I'm basically known as that smart guy, and everyone thinks I'm smarter than I actually am, and they expect me to be able to do this, or sometimes I just don't feel like working on something and they expect me to be working on that. It's like, give a guy a break, will you? Now, imagine being subject to this pressure because you're a girl. Now, I'm not saying all women are subject to this, or that all women are subject to it because they're women, but it is a common issue from what I've heard, and that's basically what I was trying to get at with the whole better or worse thing in my commentary. Most women, or most people should I say, don't want to be held back, and they don't want special treatment either. They just want to be normal. They want to be treated as normal, average citizens in our modern society. I know I already stated this earlier, but I really didn't intend to come across as an SJW in my video. I was merely expressing my opinion, and the reason I was so abrasive is because Lindy's points just infuriated me in how backwards, contradictory, and misled they were. Again, it's not that he uses the term actress that bugs me, since I'm usually not all too fussed about that word. It's how he was going about it, and how he thinks it's the end-all be-all for how we must show respect to our fellow women. And that anyone who thinks otherwise must think women are less good at acting than men. I mean, at least I'm aware that SJWs are a problem, and I'm not just brushing off the term as a snarl term, or claiming that people just use it against anyone who disagrees with them. And it also helps that I never insulted men in my video, or at least a certain kind of men. And I'm saving that topic for another video. I mean, heck, I even stated quite a few times that I actually do care about boys and men as well. Mainly because I don't view women as sex objects. And I'm sure most Western men don't either. Well, by that logic, I could say it's okay to treat men the same way because they have equal rights, right? Just so long as we're not sidelining the boys, because boys will be boys and, you know, they deserve equal rights as well. But oh, and don't do both because we don't want the boys to feel less important. Also, if it helps, my next commentary is on SJWs, or more specifically, Crack.com's stupid movies that are surprisingly progressive. Where they basically talk about various female characters and make such a big deal out of the fact that they're females who do something. Yeah, see what I meant earlier with women being put on a pedestal and just wanting to be treated as normal?
Besides, women don't need to steal and kill to be badass. Just give me an interesting and diverse cast of female characters that don't have to resort to violence to be badasses. Like Animaniacs.
Now, I'm not saying this makes up for my Lindybeige commentary, but at the very least, it should provide a nice breather. A break from all the controversy my latest commentary caused. So, that's about all I have to say for now. I apologise to anyone who was offended, unless you're an SJW, in which case you need to check your privilege. Okay, but in all seriousness, I do apologise for making that commentary and starting up all that controversy and making a huge fool of myself. But you know, I will try to take the criticism from Doodle and SkiHound and of course Starmaker and Neon Sinister. But you know, if there's anything I stuffed up here, feel free to let me know, or maybe even do a commentary if you like. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me at AskFM, and I'll get back to you ASAP. This is ARC the Clarinet Master, and I'm signing off.
you.